So today I want to speak about the Shiatsu and the relation between the meridian system and the course of the sun around the earth. And my approach is phenomenological. It means just observing the phenomenon and from that just seeing that the meaning of them is already contained in what we can see. So meridian and course of the sun. So first, what is energy? But what is it? And if we look from just by observing a little bit from outside, so we just look at the earth, and the first what we see is the visible world. This energy is not visible. So we just see basically the mineral world. But on the mineral world, we see the plants growing, the growth of the plants, and that's for us interesting because through the growing and decay of the plant, we can see the movement of the energy. So we see the energy in action through the observing the plants. So first thing we see is the sun is the main source of energy. So as human being, we are between those two forces, one of gravity, which from the earth, and one this force coming from the sun, making the growing process, which I would call the levity process, and so the force coming from the cosmos, it's giving life forces, energy is life forces, and warmth and light, and the substance. It's making us the body existing in space. So we can see that energy coming from the sun has several qualities. So it's giving life, is maintaining life, but it's also maintaining the form, our form, and it's also there's also another quality which is less visible. It's about memory. It's like in a seed, a flower would give a seed. The seed would sleep in winter, and then the season after, this flower would give this same specific species of flower. So there's a memory going on, like the energy storing memory. So life force is storing memory. And for us as therapists, is very interesting because we know when we touch the energetical system, we also touch images being stored in the energetical system, in the life forces. So which kind of, for working with traumas, it can be a very important thing. So now we will look closer to the main source of energy, which is the sun, always seen from the earth. So arising at the east and going to sleep at the west. On the top of the main, the zenith, the top of the sun in the day, is just the south, is the direction of the south. And when we look at the sun at a year basis, so we can see that sometimes the sun is very high, sometimes it's very low. That when it's the more warmth and light and it's very high, and then when it's getting cold and the sun is getting less light and warmth, and it's more low in the sky. And the first thing, if you imagine yourself being a being, extraterrestrial being, just arriving to the earth and just looking at it with no prejudice, with knowing nothing about it, just observing, then you will see one of the first thing you will notice is that there is a cyclus like every year there is this day getting longer and warmer and lighter, and then every year the day is getting colder and shorter and more night, and you see the plants, all the plants growing and decay of the plant. So you will see this cyclus, the repetition of the cyclus, and you will see this repetition of always the same will give this picture, picture of the circle repeating itself, and kind of give a sense of endless time, a sense of eternity. From that, the ancient time they had this symbol of eternity, which called the Ouroboros, the slug, the snakes eating his tail. It was symboling the eternity of the cyclus. In this eternal cyclus of the sun, in this circle, so you see the variation, and you see there are points in the variation which are more spectacular, you can say. So there is the half of the circle is about growing, and the other half is about decay. So growing, decay, growing, decay, growing, decay. On the top of the growing, you have the solstice of summer, the longer day of the year, 21 of June, and the more light, and in winter, 21 of December, when there is the shortest day, cold, and the night is the longer. So we find back the yin-yang symbol, of course, with the light, the white part being the light, being the growing process, and then the decay of the yin part. In this cyclus, there are also two other points which are remarkable. It's of course the equinox when day and night and the same length. So to 21 of September, 21 of March. Like that, we have divided the eternal cyclus of the sun, the eternity, we can say, we have divided into four. So the concept of the four seasons comes from there, which is more the astronomical aspect. Like in the ancient time, for example, the Egyptians, they knew that the earth was turning about the sun, but they was more interested into the symbolic and more the quality aspect of that. When there's more light, more warmth, cold, etc., and what happens in the growing, in the decay. So the quality aspect was more important. What does the sun does on the earth, on the plant, of the animals, on the human being? So what was the issue? So the more mathematical, knowing that the sun is there and we're turning around, was less important for them. Drawing the cyclus of the sun on the earth, so we can draw a circle on the earth, and then in the middle of the circle, then we would place a vertical. So by doing a circle like that, it's important to see that it's first a time circle, but to symbolize the time, we draw it in space. So the time is becoming space when we draw the circle of eternity. So by putting this vertical in the middle of the circle, and then you would wait where the sun is the higher in the sky, so the shadow is the shorter, so it could give the direction of the north. So it's because the sun is in the south, of course, when it's the higher, so the shadow would point to the north. So just by doing that, it was a way connect Earth and the sky. The sky being the cyclic time, being the eternity, being actually going, eternity. On the earth being all what we can see, measure, the substance, etc. So from that we have this circle, we have the north, the south, west, east, the zenith, nadir, the sunrise and the sunset. On what we have seen on the scale of the year, the circle, we find back on a scale of 1 day, day and night. So we have correspondence between day, night, growing, decay, light, and donker, life, death, yin, yang, etc. So you see, from observing nature, you can go on and go on and go on into putting images together and having more and more meaning. So what was the way of thinking from the ancient area of Egypt, but with the Celtic? So there was all this connection between earth and sky, was connection between the invisible and the visible, between the gods and the man being, human being, between nature and human being. Time is becoming space, during time the variation of energy through a year and through a day are becoming a symbol in space. We are defined like that, the fourth season, but also the center. The center, if you draw a circle, there's one point you don't draw, but which is where the circle completely depends on, is the center. And the center is again the invisible part of the circle, meaning is the origin of the circle, is the spirit of the circle. So you can find back the symbol of the Tao, for example, of the wheel. In the Tao of the wheel, the center is empty, it is the spirit, and all around is the transformation, the wheel of transformation, for going through the 4 elements, the 4 seasons, etc. But the center being fixed, being the spirit. However, so with the 4 directions of the earth, we define the earth, the visible world, as a square. The square becoming the symbol for the earth, the circle becoming the symbol of the sky, of the eternity, and behind the circle, the center being the spirit of the circle, the gods, the origin, where we come from. The Chinese, there was symboling that turtle, of course. So the turtle has square base on the back of the turtle, the carapace is the form of the sky. So the turtle is the sky on the earth. This is actually the whole universe, the whole cosmos, sky on earth being together. That's why they was using the carapace of the turtle as a divination medium way. So we have seen the annual cyclus and the day cyclus, they resonate together. We can say it's a fractal. We can see a beginning of a fractal structure between day and year, and it will go much further, over cyclus which are always bigger. We will see that later. But for now, just we have this correspondence between north winter solstice 21 December Nadine and midnight, east equinox spring equinox 21 of March, rising of the sun 6 o'clock in the morning, south summer solstice 21 of June, the zenith in the day 12 o'clock. The west is equinox of autumn 21 of September, sunset 6 o'clock in the evening. So cycle of the year, cycle of the day corresponding together. Now we just saw the sun, but we can add it the movement of the moon. At first we can say we know that of course a cycle of the year is 365 days. And the ancient in all civilization, and I'm now using the research of Daniel Sushi. The next slide I will put the name of it, we can see. So you find out, I think, that in all civilization they always reduce the 365 days to 360. That's why we have our cycle for 360 grade from 1 second. We use every day. The 5 days extra, they would be considered as out of the cyclus, meaning out of time, meaning divine thing, out of time and space, spirit, pure spirit. Yeah. So in this cycle of 360 degrees, every year there is 12 moon. It's 12 moon. So that's defined the 12 month a year, 12 cycles of the moon, of course, from the full moon, one full moon to the next full moon. So it's 12 times a year. So if you divide 360 through 30 degrees, through 12, you have a 30 degree, and if you project that to the sky, it divides the sky in 12 parts, which you can find the zodiac. This structure is a fractal, what I say, the day cyclus resonate with the year cyclus. And I use now the work of Daniel Sushi, who look in India how they develop this cyclus idea to always bigger scale, but always with the same principle. The measure the basic measure is always 360 and divided in 12. And in these 360 divided in 12, you have the principle of creation and destruction, the breathing of Brahma in India. But we just started from this very simple growing and decay, but you see it's endless what we can discover from that. One thing more important, the north. When you see at night, you see all the stars turning. If you stay long looking at the sky, you will see the stars moving, but only from the north hemisphere. You will only see one star not moving, which is the north star, because of the axis of rotation of the Earth. So again, this north star, the pole star, becomes the the center of the circle, everything turns around. So it again becomes the symbol of the spirit, of the center of the wheel. You see? And there are stars you can see which are making the whole circle. Depending on where you are on the earth, you can see more or less stars. But you are again this picture of eternity in the sky, corresponding with the center of your circle. So you see that there's a specific relation between north and the center of the circle. Through the north you go to the center of the circle. Yeah, through the north you go to the out of time and space. Through the north you go to pure spirit. Yeah. North being corresponding with the solstice of winter, with the most dark day of the year, the most cold, 21 of December. Entering to pure spirit. It rings a bell, 24 December. Yeah. So now, depending on so what I said, you see all these star turning around the north star and making the whole circle. So these one would be considered in the past also as belonging to the eternity. But depending where you are on the earth, of course you will see more or less stars. And you can see how it can influence the mythology. I mean, I put these 10 stars by Abu Simbel, which are the star of eternity, can connect to a mythology with 10 primordial gods. So Egypt. So example of Egypt, symbolic of Egypt, the one who are not destroyed. That's the eternal beings, the gods, the one who are not destroyed. So, what about me? All of this. So, that's me. The main thing for human being is vertical. Or one of the main characteristics. It's always this big debate, what is the specificity of human being? But the one thing is really, if you look at the form of the body, is being vertical. So what you can do at home if you want is just to take one moment and just to stand and just to feel how it is to be vertical. And by feeling the experience, by having the experience of being vertical, you will certainly go to a kind of feeling of presence, of being. Everybody has of his own way, but it will tend, I think, for the main people to the I'm vertical, I'm here. I am. So one couldn't resist to put Giacometti on that, one sculpture I love, which worked on this meaning of the vertical his whole life. And this concept of vertical being between earth and sky, and connecting earth and sky, then we find it back in the Chinese medicine, we find it back in the Roman art. I put a little personage between the column of the church and the dome of the church. And it's of course the center, again the center of the circle, connecting to spirit. as human being, I'm the vertical connecting earth and sky through my spirit. So till now we looked to the sun and the plant, and then from the plant to the animal realm there is a passage. It's as if the whole cyclus which was happening outside in the animal world was happen inside. So an animal, as you can say, is a skin making an inner world, and in this inner world there are organs developing, which is again the skin having their own function. Yeah? So you can see each organ would has its own rhythm, resonating with rhythm of the universe. We can see that in embryology, end of the second week, beginning of the third week. The embryo is a flat, is a double disc like that, and is more flat. And after it will curve like that, and it will embrace the space and put the space inside himself like that. So to internalize the forces which are around to make them mine. So like that on physical level you can see the system are created, digestive system, the nervous system, the circulation system. And through that inner life arises first emotion, desire, instinct, will, and later thinking. In human being there are also all these rhythm. So I just put one picture to is one example of how we could look at rhythm in human being. Chinese medicine we have another perception, but it's interesting to see that all these what we describe as the cyclus of the sun is now the cyclus of the body. So we went from a macrocosm to microcosm. So we can define through this wheel of transformation of the energy. So we have the model taken in the universe. Now it's the same model for the organism itself. And we can use this model as like the perfect model of transformation of the energy in one organism. Now we can refine the model. Now we had the square of the earth. We can divide again and have between steps. So we go from one system from 4 to one system of 8. And 8 being in our culture in the Roman churches, 8 is the baptiste, is the where you put the baby at the birth to be baptized, and it's the octagon, but because the octagon is the form of the link between earth and sky. And we have the pakwa from the Chinese medicine, from the 8 pakwa. And we have in Chinese medicine the 8 wonder meridians, which are the deepest meridian, and plus these 4 meridian, which are the intermediate, more a layer little less deep than the 4 basic meridians. So you see again we can understand this meridian with the course of the sun. More refined, the yiking, 8 per 8 is 64. So you can characterize the variation of the energy through the years with 64. Again, we go back to the moon. When you put the sun, earth and moon, then you have these 12 12 moon cycles a year, and then you go more than to the system of the 12 meridian on the Chinese clock, the meridian connected to the rhythm of the organ system. And then we got what we know as Shiatsu therapist, the 12 meridian system. We are playing with all the day. And so those meridians, they are the differentiation of the energy of the sun through the year. And we are dealing with harmonizing, balancing, feeling, seeing how they circulate, how one energy flows into one another or not, how they contradict each other, etc. etc. That's our job. So, that was it. I hope you liked it, you find it interesting, and next time I plan to do a video about the form of the human body on the meridian system, or let's say on the meaning of the form of the human body. Okay, that was it for today.